I'm not going to be as long-winded as Mom and Carrie. I feel like I probably should have went before them, but I would first like to say thank you to all of our family and friends who came to support us yesterday and who are here today, and all of you that are here today, either joining us in person or online, due to illnesses, distance, or weather. Thank you for those who have called, messaged, or stopped in to check on us and brought us food, dessert, and drinks to help us have one less worry while we process the loss of our dad. Those of you who knew my dad know that he had a love for good food, his family, his friends, and his firearms, not necessarily in that order. But what he loved the most was his girls. I am blessed to say that he was married to my mom for almost 58 years. He had 3 daughters that gave him 6 grandchildren, who he loved dearly. His legacy will live on through each and every one of us. His kind heart, his loving spirit, and his sense of humor can be seen in all of us. Last night, I was reminded of a story that my dad used to tell when I was a little girl. He told us about when he and my mom first bought their house in Delmont. Back in the 70s, during the gas shortage, there were a lot of thefts of gasoline in people's cars. One night, my dad heard something outside, and he went out to investigate. And sure enough, he found a gas can with a hose in it, siphoning gas out of one of their vehicles. My dad knew that the person had to come back to get that can, and so he went back into the house and got one of his guns, and he laid to wait outside. When the people came back, he saw that it was teenage boys. He gave warning shots in the air, and those boys took off, leaving one behind, and who was running down the road by himself. This story amongst itself is humorous. However, those of you that know that story might not know that years later, Dad was on a business trip with PBM, and he was at a diner speaking with some men. And one of those men, they got to talking and found out that he was from the New Alec area. My dad asked if he knew about the theft of the gas back in the 70s because he looked to be around the age of those teenage boys that were getting into trouble. What my dad heard after that blew his mind. The man said, "I was one of those boys." One night, he and his friends were stealing gas, and he went to get the gas cans that they were filling up when he started having bullets being fired at him. He said his friends took off in the car without him, and he was running down the road feeling those bullets whiz past his face. My dad chuckled to himself, and he told them that he was that man, and that was his property. He also assured him that he didn't actually shoot at him, he was shooting in the air. The man said to my dad that that saved his life that night. It scared him to the straight and narrow. He thought he was going to die, and he knew that if he didn't change his ways, he wouldn't be around much longer. He then told my dad that all the guys that he used to hang out with were either dead or in jail. He thanked him so much for what he did for him that night. The moral of that story is that you never know how a small interaction can change the life of someone else. We also had a story of when Yoshi lived with us, there was a groundhog out in our backyard, and Yoshi was looking out through the sliding glass doors in the dining room. Well, Dad at the same time was back in his bedroom and saw that same groundhog out in the backyard. He got his gun out of the gun cabinet, opened the window, and shot the groundhog from the house. He then proceeded to come out into the living room where Yoshi was standing at the door with this look on her face, mouth, jaw open. And my dad looked at her and said, "Well, Yoshi, what's wrong?" And she pointed and she said, what happened?" And Dad, with his sense of humor, looks and says, "Oh, must have had a heart attack." And Yoshi went, "Oh." So I'm going to really miss his sense of humor. The relationship that I had with my dad was one that's hard to put into words. He was my person. I spoke to him about everything. The good, the bad, the happy, and the sad. The questions and the concerns. The how-to and just event. My daddy loved me and my sisters unconditionally. He never judged us. He He always supported us in all the things we did and the decisions we made, even when I made the decision to leave him and move to South Carolina. He was the reason I became a chiropractor at the age of, or when I was 6th grade. He asked me what I wanted to do when I grew up. And at the time, I didn't really know. And he said, "I think you should be a chiropractor." And I said, okay. It made sense. I always loved helping people. And there was no question in my mind that my daddy thinks I should be one, and I think that's a great idea. So it's his fault that I ended up moving, because where I went to school in South Carolina was beautiful. And I got used to the flip-flops 10 months out of the year, unlike here, where it's cold all the time. Anyway, he didn't always love our choices, but he supported them nonetheless. The giant hole I feel in my heart is hard to even begin to describe. I don't know how to do life without him. The thought breaks me. We knew we wouldn't have him forever, but we had no idea that his time was ready to come to an end. What I wouldn't give to see his face, his smiling face one more time, to give him a hug and tell him how much I love him. I know he is whole again and in no more pain. I am grateful to my mom for being able to care for him at home, even though it was hard on her. She did what she could to keep him comfortable and safe. I am grateful she was able to care for him until literally his last breath. I am grateful he went quickly and not long and drawn out, but selfishly, I still want him here. I take comfort in knowing he is now in heaven watching over me, guiding me and protecting me. I will forever be his little girl, the son he never had, and the birthday present he could never return. Rest in peace, Daddy. Until we meet again, I love you.